hold on. Before we even get the video started, can we just take a second to just admire how this beautiful, sexy, light chocolate collection of pixels that represent a black woman looks so beautiful? Like, oh my god. Okay, so look at me kicking ketchup bottles over and shit. Today, all I wanted to really do was talk about cartoons for probably the first time on my channel, because I have over 200 videos on this channel, this actually being the 201st. So clap it up for me getting having 200 videos and not 200 subscribers. You can help me get to that goal by subscribing, pressing the like button, hitting the bell, doing all that stuff to make the algorithm happy. Back to talking about Blade Runner. Out of the 2 preview episodes I've seen, apparently looking on the Toonami website, these are like the 100 and something episode. So excuse me if I haven't seen the rest of the show in the series, but I had some things I really wanted to express about what I seen. Now, the first thing I want to say is that I'm not really a fan of the Blade Runner series, because as I said a couple minutes ago, I haven't really watched anything else at all in the series, like, period. Like, I haven't even watched the Blade Runner movies. I have no idea what Blade Runner is, so I was basically jumping into this blind. And I want to say, like, I don't know if this is like a startup animation studio, if they've been at it for years, if these are just people who came off of like YouTube or something, but these 2 episodes that I've seen have hope, but at the same time, they were pretty bad. Because, for example, a lot of the voice acting, it just sounds like people were reading it off the paper and that they were taking their first takes and just running with it and saying, yeah, that's it. Like, for example, look at how, whatever the fuck the tech guy who was fixing everything, like Miguel or something like that, look at it, look at how he speaks. Also pay attention to his face, because that's my next point.
Now that is something. I take it you did not purchase this yourself.
I need to see what's inside. How do I get it open?
You can't. You need a special key. Only the original owner can open it. Don't worry. Dark Badger has a way of finding things. But it's going to cost you.
I don't have money.
I should have known. Well, I think I've had enough trouble for one day. I'm afraid I can't help you.
So yeah, you see how every time he speaks, it sounds awkward and slow, and it sounds really indeliberate with everything he says? Yeah, that's not good. It's not supposed to sound like that. It's supposed to be takes with emotion in it. And I understand the scene I showed you may not seem emotional, but let me give you some short context. So long story short, this bitch, I don't know her name, so that's what we're gonna call her, this bitch wakes up and doesn't know anything about what's going on. She has no memory, which, spoiler warning, fuck it. Basically, the bitch has no memory, and when she woke up, she has no idea where anything is because she's a clone. So she has memories, but they're not exactly her memories because, again, she's a clone. So she's walking around trying to figure out what this piece of technology that she was carrying around with her does. And throughout the 2 episodes, she has various flashbacks to events that happened that haven't been clearly explained, of her in a desert and people shooting, her trying to save people. It's a lot of stuff going on in the flashbacks, but it's kind of confusing and not very well explained. Basically, after she was walking around cluelessly looking for a certain address that she for some reason had stuck in her head and didn't understand why she had it stuck in her head, found some thugs on the way. Somehow, some way, they punched her and it gave her PTSD, and she just beat the dog shit out of these people. And the fighting scenes, we'll talk about that in a bit, but she beats the dog shit out of these people. Now they got beef with her. She runs to the side, sees this angel painting that's at the address that she was looking for. Miguel sees her, he awkwardly talks. He walks up to her and emotionlessly greets her and takes her into his shop. Which then soon after she conveniently went around the corner, the thugs bust in, gang banging ass kids well, they were grown, but these gang banging ass niggas bust in and pull out a knife on him, threaten him, and ask her where she was and about the piece of technology that she was holding that he hadn't seen this whole time, which I don't know where the fuck she was keeping it for him to not be able to see it. But basically, they came in and threatened him, and he pretended to bitch up and say, I don't know, when really, I mean, as you can see, he does fucking know. But he really just didn't want to help them because he didn't believe in helping such thuggish creatures. And she said, well, I know how to beat ass very well, so I'm gonna go make sure they never bother you again. Then she goes, kicks down their door, beats the brakes off of them, stabs some nigga randomly, tells them to leave him alone, and they're just like, okay, I guess. Now that you have the context to that, I don't know, less than 10-second clip, now let me represent the clip to you and re-show you the emotion he had with that clip.
Now that is something. I take it you did not purchase this yourself.
I need to see what's inside. How do I get it open?
You can't. Need a special key. Only the original owner can open it. Don't worry. Dark Badger has a way of finding things. But it's going to cost you.
I don't have money.
I should have known. Well, I think I've had enough trouble for one day. I'm afraid I can't help you.
Yeah, see? Not a lot of emotion for all the context I gave behind the clip. Again, in isolation, it seems like, well, I mean, it's not that bad. But in context, he should have way more emotion in his voice. But some kind of emotion in his voice would be great. Really, it feels like watching Travis Scott during an interview. Have you ever seen a Travis Scott interview? I'm not gonna put one here because of copyright, but that nigga never have an emotion, bro, like ever. Speaking of Grand Theft Auto, another thing I wanted to mention was that a lot of these characters' face animations, at some time, they are just, oh my god, wonderful, fantastic. I don't know why I did that, but oh well. Sometimes they're fantastic and sometimes they're terrible. Now, compare the scene you seen a second ago to this scene.
If you want them to happen.
Not a fan of Go.
Go fails to reward aggression. Although I do admit, it's a fine test of intellect. But we're not here to talk games. What on earth is going on with the logistics for your memory making?
You can expect fascinating results. In time.
You've never known anything but comfort and indulgence. Perhaps it's my fault for spoiling you. But when you fail to keep your word, there's no one to blame but yourself.
A vulgar move. The only thing you see is profit.
Yes, what is it? When was this? But I was just with him. I see. Keep me informed of developments.
Something troubling you?
Senator Bannister is dead.
Now, what I like about this scene is the amount of detail, the way that the son puts down the, I don't know what the fuck game this is, pieces, to the way that he speaks and the way that he expresses himself to his pops. It's just so much natural chemistry in between the two voice actors that it sounds like a real ass conversation that you might hear between those two people. Versus Miel and whatever that bitch name is. It really doesn't sound emotion. Matter of fact, realistically speaking, that's the only scene I remember that had any real emotion in it. Everything else was as lifeless as I described earlier. And the facial animations, you know what they remind me of? You know how in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, like when they would talk, they would sometimes move their mouth and sometimes their face would just be all and shit. I feel like there was a lot of that going on. Like that's what watching a lot of this show felt like. It felt like rewatching Grand Theft Auto San Andreas cutscenes, which I did in full. So I'm qualified. But for the sake of comedy that I did for this video, the last thing I kind of want to touch on is how they be touching on each other violently. Whoa, that sounded wild. That was not supposed to come out like that at all. Pause. The way that they fight in this show, the choreography, there was 1 or 2 scenes I watched that maybe had competent fighting. Everything else was just very stiff fighting, especially this boxing scene where they fought all over the place. I feel like these fight scenes were fully animated and they didn't take any consideration into getting it choreographed or choreographing at least a little bit of it by or with humans, because it just feels so stiff. It doesn't feel like a fight between 2 people. It feels like a fight between 2 computer generated AIs. It just feels unrealistic and very stiff. It looks like they designed this fight with action figures that have movable joints instead of actual people that actually move in realistic ways, because, you know, physics. And I guess I'll throw a clip in there to show you if I fucking feel like it. But the point mostly is I think this is one of those shows where it's an acquired taste, meaning it's a show where you have to enjoy what it is for what it is, and you have to really go into it knowing what you're gonna get into, because if you go into it not knowing what you're gonna get into, you're gonna be in for a wild ass ride. And it's not gonna be a fun wild ride unless you feel some kind of emotional attachment to Blade Runner. And the way these first 2 episodes looking, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about this series, because I'm cool with the whole Toonami, Funimation, Crunchyroll, whatever the hell their deal is, animation premieres, but I feel like this particular one was not it. What I do hope though, what I do wish for is that don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and eat the booty like a bunny. Okay, bye.